There was a time when I was driving home from work. So usually I drive home from work earlier in the day. So 5 o'clock is not the time that I would be driving home. Usually around like 2 to 3 p.m. is the window that I would be driving around the city, heading towards home one way or another. But there's one time where I had to pick up my mom from the hospital, and we were driving back, and there was a lot of traffic. Basically, it was a deeper part of the city, and we had to go from that deeper part of the city to the highway before we could get back home. And this was around 5 o'clock. It was like 4 or 5 o'clock that we were heading back from the hospital. And there was a lot of stops on the way towards the highway. And by the time we got to the highway, it was just a massive amount of cars, massive amounts of vehicles just on the highway. And this got me thinking about how sad it is to be in just this working class situation here. So let's just say you're a parent and you make minimum wage, and the two of you have to work very hard in order for you to provide for your kids. And you are trying to take whatever job it is that you can possibly get, and that job provides you the bare minimum, has some extended health care that you have to pay extra amount for, but then the hours are actually later in the day. So you're basically working from like a 9 to 5, let's just say. So 5 p.m. peak rush hour time is when you get to go home. And now you have to be stuck in traffic. Gas is just being killed because the time it takes for you to go home, that's typically half an hour, is now going to be 1 hour in order for you to get home. And I was just thinking about how it sucks to be in that situation. I was like, you know what? There's something about the way this looks that's just not normal. And I'm coming from the perspective of living in a city where our population density didn't used to be as dense as it currently is right now. Because in Canada, over the past decade, we imported 10 million immigrants. So basically, our population in 2015 was 30 million. And then in 2025, our population ballooned up to 40 million. So within the last decade, our population increased by 25%. So basically, 1 in 4 immigrants have immigrated into Canada within the past decade. So that's kind of the situation we're in. And obviously, that reflects in the overall population. So cities that didn't have as much people are going to have more people. And our infrastructure did not catch up with this sudden increase in our population. And so the time it takes to typically get to some places take a lot longer. And everyone's suffering as a result of that. And of course, that includes the ability to get housing. So there's more people, means that more people are competing for jobs, more people are competing for rent, more people are taking from the system. So all of us contributors of the tax are actually giving away more of our tax money to fund more people who are in need of those services. And so it's basically just an overall decline in the quality of life. But that's not really what I'm trying to talk about. I'm just trying to talk about the position that people are in. And there's really no way that I can think of to escape this situation. The only way you can do that is if you create some sort of exit for yourself. Maybe you can create, you learn some new skills that you can apply and make your own business, or it might elevate you to a higher position in the company you work at, or maybe it'll allow you to work at another company that will give you better opportunities. And that's kind of the only way that things will be fixed. And I think it's very sad because I think there was a time maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's because I'm just naive, but I feel like there was a time where things kind of just sorted itself out. There was always the swinging, the up and downs of how good and bad the economy is, but ultimately I don't think that things ever got as desperate as it is right now and stayed that way. Because ever since 2020, where things got really bad, I don't think we've had an opportunity to truly recover from that, because inflation has gotten up so much. It's gotten to the point where you try to cut down and save, and you're trying to be as frugal as you possibly can, and then you look through your finances and you're just like, okay, I cut more than I did last year, and I don't feel like I'm saving any more money than I did from last year. What's going on? I've done everything I can. I've looked through my expenses. I've cut down on some expenses. I cut some subscriptions that I don't need. I've decided to do some more meal preps so that I don't eat out as much. I've decided to really look at my expenses, not go out as much. And I'm looking through my finances and I'm like, all right, well, how come it doesn't feel like I've saved any more money? And then you go to a grocery store and you're like, all right, these apples that I used to buy for $3.99 a pound are all of a sudden $4.99 a pound. What's going on? Or these blueberries, man. I remember these damn blueberries being $5.99. Now they're $9.99. How are these blueberries getting so expensive? Like you see all the things. Like if you are a very conscious shopper and you do a lot of your own home cooking, you buy the same ingredients all the time. You're looking at the same places. You're shopping around, you're trying to find the ingredients that you need to make whatever meals you want to make. You're shopping around for the best prices. And then, you come to realize, like, for me personally, I can say that whenever I see a price increase of like apples or blueberries, I notice it right away. And I just, like, my soul just is just in this constant anger when I see the prices increase, especially during the summertime. So, blueberries are always expensive out of season and they're not the best. And come summertime, when blueberries are in season, I'm like, all right, nice. Farmer's market. It's got these blueberries for $3.99 a pound. Awesome. I can finally buy these and they don't look like they're rotten to the core. Nice. I can buy this. And then one day, I think this was on, I think this was Sunday last week. I go to the same farmer's market and it says that it's $4.99 a pound. I'm like, are you fucking serious? Like, we've only had these for a few weeks and you've already increased it by $1 per pound. Like, what the heck happened here? I don't even know what caused it. I didn't even look up the reason why these blueberries went up in price. Something stupid must have happened, but you got all this arbitrary stuff that always increases the price of all the goods that you're trying to buy. And that's pretty much what it comes down to. You're just thinking like, all right, well, it's one thing if our imported products get a price increase because of tariffs and whatnot, but why is it that our domestic goods have to have an arbitrary price increase? It's like, it's so annoying. But basically, that's what it comes down to. You have this working class, they gotta work so hard, you got these long hours, and then you got to deal with all this other bullshit of the whole price situation when it comes to buying goods. And if you're a parent who's barely making enough to make ends meet, man, like, props to you for being able to, like, navigate this situation. Because as a single man, I gotta say, I'm pretty blessed when it comes to my circumstances, but I don't know how people making less than me are able to survive, because it's really insane out there. It's something else. I gotta say, it's way too much, and there's really no fixing it. That's the thing. You're not going to see prices come down significantly. Prices, as far as homes goes, like, it's gone down a little bit, but it hasn't gone down to the point where it becomes affordable. Forget the idea of renting a place that's 30% of your income. That's probably not going to happen unless you're making significant amount. The average Canadian how much are they making? Like 50,000, 60, probably not 60. I think it's probably closer to 50,000 a year. And I'm looking at rent prices in my city that is 2,000 plus for basically just like a one bedroom, like 600 square foot. So you're not really making, you're not going to be able to make enough money to really cut down the cost of the living unless you're having roommates or you have somebody else who you can share life together to help you cut down on like the income for expenses and or not income, the monthly expenses in order to live. So everyone has to work a lot harder. You got to get two jobs, and yeah, it's really sad. It's really sad.